Hello guys and welcome to today's tropical update. In this video we're going to be talking about Tropical Depression 7. Yes, we finally got another tropical system in the Atlantic. And as you guys know, it's been very hard pressed to get any type of system going in the Atlantic besides maybe early this September when we had Earl and Danielle. And now we got this feature here, so that makes 3 tropical cyclones for the month of September, 6 tropical cyclone overall, and this is the first MDR season system of the season here. And we're going to take a look at the particulars here. It says that for the 5 p.m. update, it's located at 16.8 north, 50.5 west, and it's moving west at 13 miles per hour. Minimal central pressure is at 1,008 millibars, with the maximum sustained winds are 35 miles per hour. So we're going to take a look at the cone here real quick. And as you can see, this is going to be targeting the Leeward Islands, the British U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. You know, these islands are going to need to watch this very carefully because, you know, even if this is not a hurricane, it's still going to, it's still going to have impacts like flooding rains and some gusty winds. Now, the forecast is for 40 knot peak, 40 knot peak, which is 45 miles per hour, and that is enough to throw around loose objects that are on the ground and just toss them wherever they may fly. So, you might want to think about picking up those loose items and putting them in a secure spot, at least for that. And as you can see, probably watches and warnings are probably going to be posted at 11 p.m. or overnight tonight for the Leeward Islands and maybe Puerto Rico, but definitely Leeward Islands is definitely going to be under watches and warnings either tonight or overnight. And then when you see this 4 or 5 day time frame, you can see that it starts to move northwest. Now there's a couple of possibilities that this can do, which I'm not going to show them on this video, but GFS, ECMWF/Euro, and CMC all show 3 different scenarios to this, with CMC being the most west, Euro being the most east, and GFS being in the middle of those. So I would not completely disregard anything off the East Coast to come on shore if that so happens. All right. So now we're going to take a look at the forecast discussion here. And as you can see here, they expect a tropical storm probably in the next 12 hours or so, probably 11 o'clock. But, if we're going to take a realistic guess, it's probably going to be 5 a.m. And then they have a 40 knot peak for the next 4 days after that. So who knows if this is going to be weaker or stronger at any of these points. They just say, here you go, 40 knots, take it or leave it. So we're going to have to see how that all pans out going forward. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at some spaghetti plots here. And you can see where the spread is here. I mean, there's some that go, all the way into the Caribbean, which, that's probably not a realistic scenario going this far south. Most of them go into most of the northern islands here, including Dominican Republic, before recurving out. Right now, this black line is the official NHC forecast, so there it is. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the mesoscale infrared here. And as you can see, this system is really blowing up in convection right now, and it's sustaining convection too. It may look pretty over the hood, but under the hood, it's still screaming out for help. It's tilted, and it's being disrupted by some northern, I think it's westerly shear, west to northwesterly shear. But as you can see, it's definitely fighting these environments here. And there's been talks of center relocations down here into the deepest part of this convection. So we're going to have to see how that really pans out. You could definitely see some banding that is starting to develop here as well. So, like I said, tropical storm probably tonight, early tomorrow. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the FS here, and this was initialized at 18Z. And as you can see, here's our system right here, just 1010 millibars. And we are looking at 65% relative humidity, which is so-so. It could be worse. It's a little bit better than Earl's, but still could be better. The shear is about 17 knots, so it's dealing with some moderate shear here as we head out through the next 6 or so hours. Here is the 24-hour mark, and we're going to take a look at the soundings. We are looking at 14 knots shear, but the relative humidity really dips here. It's like 55%. 48 hours, we're at 1,006 millibars. 22 knots of shear and 58% relative humidity, so the shear is not letting up whatsoever at this current point in time. 72 hours, it's not looking too well. Looking at 20 knots of shear and 67% relative humidity for that. And then once we get to the hour and 20 mark, or not hour and 20, but hour and 2, it starts to get back together here. It tries to anyways. And we're going to go a little bit past, day 5. We're going to go to day 6, and then it moves right over Dominican Republic here in 1,005 millibar tropical storm. So it definitely has some work to do before it gets to this point if it wants to survive the trip over Dominican Republic. All right, so here is the Euro here, and this was initialized at 12Z today. And what we have here is a 1010 millibar, or not, hold on, 1,009 millibar tropical depression, which it makes sense. It's around 1,008 right now. Looking at 14 knots of shear, which is not bad. It's moderate, but not bad. It's on the low side. 61% relative humidity, so that's pretty so-so. 24 hours from now, we are looking at 26 knots of shear and 54% relative humidity. So it's getting sucker punched by shear pretty much. 48 hours, we're looking at 29, almost 30 knots of shear and 59% relative humidity. So how it's surviving with that, I have no idea. And then we get to hour 96, and we're looking at 1,004 millibars, and we can't take a look at the soundings because it's not going to be accurate. And then it starts to strengthen over Dominican Republic and the mountains and everything. So we're going to go out to 144 like we did with the GFS, and you can see that we're at 997 millibars into the Bahamas here. And we're looking at, wow, that's not very good at all. We're looking at 39 knots of shear and 70% relative humidity. How it's going, I just do not know. Anyways, we're going to take a look at the CMC, and this was initialized at 12Z. We can't do any soundings like we could in the other models here. So here's 48 hours. We're at 1,009 millibars. 72, 1,008, and then it crosses the tip of Dominican Republic and Haiti. We're looking at 1,006 and 1,001 as it's making its northerly skirt across Cuba. Now, as you guys probably saw, the different scenarios that were starting to play out here between the three models. As you can see, the CMC is way farther west than, say, GFS and then Euro. As you can see, you clearly can see that they are different in terms of location, and that's going to be important as this, as the ridge dies and tries to build back in again a little bit later on in the time period. So that's why I'm not taking off the East Coast as a potential hit until we get to around day 4 or 5 and we get a little clearer picture. Or maybe with the recon data, we just don't know yet. All right, last off, we're going to take a look at the sea data, or not sea data, but NOAA Coral Reef Watch sea surface temperatures here. And where the system is going, we got plenty of warm water on tap. We got 29s, we got 30s, and then if it gets this far, we got 30s and 31s waiting for it. If it gets this close to Bahamas and Florida anyways. But besides that, everything else is toasty and ready to go for this. The only limiting factors this thing has right now is wind shear, dry air, and whatever land interaction it does with the Leeward Lesser Antilles and all of that stuff. Anyways, that'll be it for today. I'll be back again tomorrow with another update for you guys. I hope you guys have a good one. Stay safe in the islands there, and I'll keep you guys updated.